Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trek Canon. Well, today we're going to be covering the final two episodes of the series Star Trek Picard, Et in Arcadia, Let in Al Qaeda, and we're going to be talking about the series as a whole, and just basically what I thought. So today was the second part of the two-part Et in Al Qaeda and Arcadia, I believe. And we came to the final conclusion of the Picard storyline, the Picard arc in Star Trek canon. There were about three things that I did not. I'm not going to say I didn't like. Well, I can say I didn't like them. I can say I didn't like them. But it would be more accurate to say that they didn't fit into what we know about Star Trek canon. So I'll cover those first, and then we'll go into what I did like about Star Trek. Like I said, as the two-parter and as a whole. So, what I didn't like. The first thing that I didn't like, and this is in no particular order. The third thing is that's the biggest. So the first two is in no particular order, but the third thing is the biggest. Okay, the third thing is the biggest. All right. So the first thing was this that device that that the android, I believe her name is Sutra, gave Ralphie, and that was that little blue bare knuckles device, the blue bare knuckles device that you have to use your imagination to work. Now, there's absolutely nothing like that in Star Trek canon. But let's say that it was made on that planet. And the androids made this. This is what they did. The synthetic life forms made this thing. Okay? So, basically, you imagine whatever you want, and this thing fixes it, creates it. Basically, it's the sonic screwdriver of Star Trek. They have added, I think it even punks the sonic screwdriver. This thing, so let me tell you, right? So this thing ends up fixing Rios' ship. All right. When the ship goes into space and is staring down a barrel of 200 plus Romulan warbirds, they use this device to duplicate the Picard maneuver. I'm gonna call it Picard maneuver cubed. They gonna do the Picard maneuver cube. They did the super Picard maneuver using this handheld device that they didn't hook up to nothing on the ship. None of that. We made all these aircraft, all these spaceships running around, 200 plus of them, that was able to go in all different directions. Whether disruptors was able to affect them, like they had matter, they became real in the universe or something instead of holograms. Oh no! But it's okay. Sorry. Now the second thing was. I'm gonna preface this by saying, referring to everybody to this episode. I forget the name of the episode. It was a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode where Data, Troy, and Picard in a shuttle roll up on the Enterprise in this Romulan ship stuck in this time freeze. All right, they go ahead and beam over and realize that that time isn't Data realizes that time isn't frozen. They're looking at the warp core breach. Time is actually moving at a significantly reduced rate, okay? And Data was able to see this rate and register it. Okay. So if Data is able to see a warp core breach as is happening, how in the world, wait, and we all know Data has dodged phaser blast. So Data can dodge light. That's what I'm gonna say. I feel safe to say Data can dodge light. All right. Now, if Data can dodge light and Data can see warp core breaches, how come it is Rio could punch a synth? Not only one synth, he punched like 2 or 3 synths with a punch. Okay. Let's say, for instance, the androids was thinking to themselves, "There's no way in the world this slow punch is ever gonna hit me," and even if it did. There's no way in the world this is ever going to hurt. And even if it did, there's no way in the world this is ever going to knock me out. So we're going to treat, so in Star Trek, during this one little scene, we're going to treat all the synths like they're just normal humans. Despite the fact that a Klingon rolled up on Data with a super Klingon head, but and knocked his own self on the ground. Data was like, yo, I'm reinforced with all this titanium, vibranium, all this vibranium out, just all this good stuff, all these good metals, and you basically can't do nothing to me. And this dude knocking out synthetic life, just synthetic people just knocking him out. Pow, hit him, knock him out. Pow, hit him, knock him out. Pow, hit him, knock him out. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. So those were the two. Those were the two. Now the final thing, and I'm gonna have to make sure that I can say this without losing it, because I lost it in the episode. Okay, so let me get this straight. Anybody who watches this channel knows the reason that me and Captain Picard do not get along. Like, it's just two reasons that me and Picard do not get along. So you got Kirk killed and left him on a planet under some rocks, right? And you got Data killed because you was crying on the ship. Oh, I can't kill my clone. So you mean to tell me we gonna go 20 years in the future and you gonna kill Data again? Oh, you didn't do that, man. You didn't do that. Why can't I do it? He did it again. He did it again. Sorry, I said I wasn't gonna lose it. I was not gonna lose it. He did it again. Okay, so anyway, my son asked me. He turned and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, why didn't they just put Data's consciousness in a golem?" And I was thinking, right about the same time, why didn't they just put Data's consciousness in a golem? And then it occurred to me. Remember when Picard told Daj that she had a lack of imagination because she couldn't think of nothing else? That shows a lack of imagination. Now, who has a lack of imagination? We find Data, his consciousness intact, and you gonna be like, I'm gonna kill Data again. Yeah, we know Data requested it. But that's because Data thought he was immortal, man, living in this construct. Now that I'm, past that, let me say that scene where Picard and Data were in the construct after, oh yeah, by the way, as everybody knows, spoilers, we just go ahead and talk about it. But when they were in that construct and Picard and Data, that was just beautiful. That exchange to me was a culmination of just everything that was said, that was both said and unsaid between Data and Picard ever since Encounter at Farpoint all the way to Insurrection. It was just, the professionalism, the bond, the bond that went deeper than just brotherhood. It was just everything. Just if I could boil down if I can boil down the essence of what I think Picard and Data's relationship was over all of those decades, it would have been that. I think it would have been that conversation, and that was a beautifully done. Okay, I'm not a movie critic by any means. Okay, I have no formal training in movie criticizing or anything like that. But I do appreciate art when I see it, and the way they set up that scene, the way they set up the room, the way they set up the area that the room was in, from the clothes that they had on, the way that the color scheme was, the music, the emotion that that Data was able to portray, just like he always is able to do, while being emotionless. And Brent Spiner has that ability to bring so much emotion to Data, just like Leonard Nimoy was able to bring so much emotion to Spock, while still maintaining the fact that they are emotionless. Okay, so but that was a extremely beautiful scene there. That whole conversation to me was just awesome. All right, so now I don't really like how there are some things about the episode that seem rushed. Okay, seem a little rushed, like how easy it was for them to take out the head evil, tripped out bipolar lady after they figured out that she was the one who actually stabbed Suture in the eye and let the Romulan go and all of that. Um, the Romulan, Narek. I think he went through. I think that was an interesting character arc with him. I really did. At first I wasn't thinking he had too much to put to add to the story, but his arc going from trying to hold true of what his beliefs was, and adapt them and how he turned out was great. Um, let's get into Picard, and what happened at the end. Picard getting a golem body. That whole 10 years and 20 years, I like that. I'd be like, hey man, you could have gave me a little bit more, 50 years. Immortality sucks booty, but 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 more years, I'd have been totally fine with that. And please, you could have let me have all the high-speed android powers. But that goes into canon too. Transferring your consciousness into a golem. In the episode that I was talking about a few videos ago, what was it? Miri? No, it was not Miri. Really, Miri? No, but it was an original series episode where had Nurse Chapel and the androids and everything like that, and he had transferred his body transfer his consciousness into android body. The lady who kidnapped Kirk and switched bodies with him wasn't an android body, but there is a lot of body swapping that goes on in Star Trek, and there's a lot of swapping from humanoid to android consciousness. So that went well. A lot of people talk about how Picard, how the android lady was able to mind meld, and if you think about it, telepathy is basically just matching brainwaves with whatever it is that you're trying to connect to. It's basically like being a receiver and a transmitter. Think of it like a radio. Okay, if I want to listen to 107.5 WGCI, I will turn to 107.5 WGCI. If I want to listen to, if I want to interact with another station, I will tune in a frequency. And I think that's kind of how telepathy works. And we know androids, because they have positronic brains, can become transmitters or receivers, just like Spock was able to mind meld with V'ger. But V'ger never mind melded with Spock. Why do you think Spock was out there? Because of the consciousness that he was sensing from V'ger. Okay, I think V'ger, just because it's synthetic life doesn't mean that it can't do the same things that organic life can do. So, let's go into the series as a whole. Oh, no. I'm still talking about... really? Okay, so... I really, really was hoping that... I figured that Riker would show up to save... to help Picard out with the Romulan fleet. Two things that I figured was kind of wrong with this. He did not have Admiral stripes. He had Captain Pips. He retired as an admiral, which means when he put back on his uniform and was reinstated in the service, he should have maintained that rank of admiral. Second, he should have showed up with the Enterprise, not a bunch of ships that I really didn't recognize. Actually, they looked like a bunch of stargazers, but they did not look like super powerful Federation ships. But it was beautiful how they all walked in position. But and to and the speech that Riker gave Picard, the little response that he gave Picard was also real cool. It was reminiscent of what was it, Undiscovered Country, where Spock told Kirk, well, Kirk was like, yo, man, I thought I was going to die. Man, why would you think something crazy like that? You're never alone. Basically, we got your back. So to see that, continuing on as a Starfleet tradition, was great. Now, Let's talk about the series as a whole. Oh, the life forms, the synthetic life forms that they was gonna bring through the portal. They didn't look like they was pretty nice. Anytime you have tentacled metal things, that's never nice. Tentacles and metal put together is not good for your orifices. Anyway, pow. But as a whole, the series. I think if you examine the series as a whole, all right, I've often and always have said that Star Trek is an exploration of space and an exploration of self. Okay, and there wasn't a lot of exploration of space in Picard, but that was damn sure a lot of exploration of self. Okay, so we start with Picard, a broken man, lost his faith and trust in the values that he had fought for and had lived by and had upheld, you know, forever. Okay, or at least ever since he took the oath to become a Starfleet officer. Okay, due to the battles with the Dominion, battles with the Borg, battles with the Cardassians, battles with the Klingons, the Federation had become battle weary. When when you become battle weary, you succumb to battle fatigue and you succumb to fear. Okay, the Romulans didn't help that any when they orchestrated the attack on Mars, and Starfleet and the Federation withdrew even more. Okay, um, we start with Picard existing in this reality, this Federation that we don't really know, this Federation that is alien to us Trekkies. Okay, and through this process, we go through this process with Picard. We go through reevaluating their decisions personally and as a group of Starfleet. We go through the growth of rekindling and repairing friendships, re, repairing people who we had let go. Okay, people who we had discarded. Um, it was a repairing of not only Picard, but Picard and Starfleet, Picard and the Federation, and that was a really nice exploration of how can we go from fear to back to the values that we once had, the values of the Federation, the values of Starfleet. Okay, to once again get back on that road to being a utopia, and I thought that this mini series as I call it. Did you know back in the day, a season of the Next Generation, for instance, was like 22, 23 episodes, but they only cost about $5. No, Next Generation, no. It's a lot more expensive nowadays, but 8, 9, 10 episodes for a season, that's kind of... we're going to have to get better on that one, people. We're going to have to get better on that one. But, excuse me, I got the sniffles. Speaking of sniffles, and the coronavirus, I wish everybody well during the time that we're in these self-imposed quarantines. And for those of us who have to go out and work like myself, hope you're keeping safe and washing your hands and stop. If you got a cough or sneeze, do it in a correct and safe fashion, maintaining social distancing as they call it, and all that other good public announcement stuff. I was going to do a video about pandemics, but using maybe some Star Trek episodes. But I was thinking about, man, what episodes of Star Trek would I be able to include in that? Usually in Star Trek, the ship comes upon the butt end of a pandemic and somehow it's transported on a ship and they have to deal with it there, or but I don't believe there's ever been a worldwide pandemic that somebody had to come in as it was going on, and it kind of explored that. You have episodes like The Naked Time, Deadly Years, Naked Now. You have Macro. You have episodes like that that kind of dive into transmission and what they were doing to kind of segregate and stuff like that on a small scale. But I wanted to I wanted to see if there was a Star Trek episode that did it on a global scale, that did it on a scale, at least continental or something like that. But not one that comes into memory. So if you guys know of anyone that I'm just tripping because it's way early in the morning, then just put it in the comments for me. I could try to see if we could make a video about that and see if we could align Star Trek canon with, the pandemic that's going on right now. Just thoughts, experiments. But so again, just as a whole of what Trek is, I think it's kind of an allegory from Discovery had jacked up what we thought Trek was. Well, what we know Trek to be. Discovery jacked that all up. Just jacked that all up. Okay? And I think that this series, like I said, was to bring back in alignment from what the J.J. Abrams Trek and all that stuff has been. Just the just how we have skewed from those principles to bring that. Hey, don't succumb to fear. Don't succumb to anger. Don't succumb to these things. That was always his theme. That's always was his, always his pushing point throughout the series. And it ended, well, man. Him saying engage almost brung it made me misty-eyed. There's not many things that made me misty-eyed, but that scene with Data and Picard talking in the afterlife, and I was really hoping Q would have made an appearance, and but I guess that would have been too clean. Q make an appearance and have Picard join the Continuum. It looks like they got their crew 7 to 9. I really like that they, her progression in the story, where she's at now. I wish her the best because, like I said, 7 had a hard life, and I like to see her finally. I like to see 6 and 9 finally get her due. But. Any questions, comments, concerns? What did you guys think of the series and the things that happened in it? How did you guys like my analysis of the show and how it fit in the canon? Did I cover everything that you guys had? Like I say, any questions, comments, concerns? Please comment below, and if you haven't already, click to subscribe and hit the bell button. You guys be cool. Kapla.